Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at the Mark of Athena, chapter 23, continuing Leo's story. So it starts off with Leo just, oh, that's what I forgot. I forgot to change the sonar or the radar to the sonar. A radar is like detecting things in the air, as far as I know. Sonar is detecting things in the water. And so when they're flying, Leo had the radar on, boing, 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 checking things out to see if there's anything around. But they went into the water, and he needed to change it to go, woo, woo, right? Woo, sending that signal into the water because it was still going into the air. And so they couldn't detect any monsters coming up to them. And that's what Leo realized he forgot, and he was so frustrated about it. Well, the ship is rocking, and Coach Hedge is like, Valdez, get up here. And he wants to get his club and start fighting the monster. But while Leo's trying to get to the helm, this giant monster comes out, and it's about the same size as the ship, its body. And then it has this ugly head, and then from its nose, these tentacles are coming out, and it starts wrapping around the ship, trying to capture people. It even captures Piper, and all the heroes are trying to fight it off. Percy calls this Shrimpzilla. And sadly, Percy just in the very beginning gets hit by the shrimp and falls down into the stairs. So we don't even know what happens to him, but he's gone for this whole chapter. So the shrimp sends out these tentacles from his nose, and it starts capturing the ship. And Piper gets caught. Jason's trying to help, but Jason's like really tired, so he's not doing much. Annabeth takes out her dagger. She's trying to fight. Coach Hedge is jumping around with his club, trying to fight the monster. And things aren't going that well. This tentacles keep coming out, and they chop them off, but they're growing and coming out more than they're fighting off. And so they're losing this battle. And Leo gets this crazy idea. And there's this crate next to Hazel. And he says, Coach, come back and grab the ship. And Coach Hedge comes back and he grabs the ship. And Leo goes over to Hazel and they open up this crate. And there's these 2 glass bottles. And Hazel's like, what is this? And Leo says, Greek fire. And Greek fire, we honestly, as far as I know, we still don't believe what it was made out of. It was this secret weapon that the Greeks had for their ships that they would launch over onto another ship. And it just created this fire. And this fire couldn't even be killed with water. It would just spread it around. And if it got onto the ocean would even glow with fire. It was really, really dangerous stuff and very explosive. And so Hazel's like, what? They're on the ship right now. And he's like, it's okay. Throw it into the... And they get pulled up into the air with these tentacles. And their arms are pinned except for Leo's one hand. And Leo looks down and they're kind of above the monster's mouth. And he looks over to Hazel and says, do you trust me? Hazel says, no. Leo says, when we get dropped, throw the fire as far away as you can from the ship. And Hazel doesn't understand what's going on. And then Leo uses his fire to shoot fire into the tentacle of the monster. And so it lets go of Hazel and Leo, and the monster. Leo throws the... And it starts to explode inside the monster. And Leo falls down and hits the water. He's 30, 40 feet in the air. And he hits the water, boom, like cement. He even says cement with sandpaper on it. Sandpaper is really rough, so it just felt terrible. And then he's and he's about ready to pass out in the water and drown when this horse guy comes up, and he looks a lot like Chiron, the teacher from Camp Half-Blood. And he has a dagger raised, and Leo passes out. He wakes up in the water, breathing in the water with Frank. Looks around, and they're trapped inside this, I don't know, jail, I guess. There's one door, and there's a huge shell on it, and then there's some sea urchins, I guess, along the wall or on the shore. I'm not too sure. Sea urchins are like porcupines that live in the ocean. And they have these little spines everywhere. You can eat them. I've tried them. I don't like them, but some people do. They cut them in half. You can eat the insides. Blech. But they're trapped in this water. And Leo is trapped with Frank. Frank is not happy about this. And Frank is like, I'm here with you, and Hazel's gone. And Frank just looks really grumpy. But as they're talking, Leo starts to understand why Frank is so angry. During that battle, Leo distracted Frank, and Frank got hit by a tentacle and fell into the water. Leo was holding hands with Hazel, looking deep into her eyes, which Coach Hedge says, and Frank starts to get jealous. And Leo kind of realizes this, and he says, hey, look, I don't like Hazel romantically. I'm not really interested in her. He didn't really know how he felt about her, but he shares the story of what happened. Hazel took me into a memory, and we learned how I'm connected with Sammy. Sammy was my great-great-grandfather. And as Frank hears this, he kind of softens up, because he looked like he probably wanted to kill Leo or punch him or something. And he starts to soften. And then they start to look around to see if they can escape. Leo's looking at the shell, and he's wondering if he could shoot some fire into the shell. So he starts some fire, and the fire goes, and Frank sees the fire, and he goes, ah! Frank just hugs the wall, and Leo's just covered in fire, breathing in the fire. But then Leo calms down. The fire can't hurt me. The fire can't hurt me. And then he realizes that on their skin, there's a thin layer of oxygen. And there was some kind of spell that the fish horse guys put on them to where there's oxygen around them. And that's how they're breathing in the water. But when Leo uses fire, the oxygen just captured it. So Frank and Leo, they kind of talk about fire. Leo realizes, man, I'm really impressed with Leo during this chapter. He shows a lot of care for Frank, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of understanding. And he realizes, like, oh man, maybe Frank had a bad memory with fire. Maybe that's why Frank is afraid of fire. And Leo shares how his mom died with fire. And Frank starts to share about how his life is tied to a piece of wood on fire. But before he can really kind of explain that, and they can get really buddy and share, the door opens to the prison. The shell moves over, and these two fish horse guys come over. The first one here is, and I'm not sure how to pronounce these, but Bythos. Bythos is like human, and then a little bit of horse, and then a fish tail. And yeah, he looks pretty crazy. He has claws on his head too, like for horns or something. And he has a brother, again, Aphros, maybe. And they are going to interrogate Frank and Leo. And Bythos is going to take Frank, and he tells Leo, don't make my brother angry. And that is how the chapter ends. Okay, vocabulary. Clambering. Clambering is just like climbing, crawling. I kind of think of it as climbing clumsily. Climbing just with whatever you can, wrapping your legs in things and grabbing holds, not looking very beautiful while you climb. Like a monkey, probably looks pretty cool. But maybe just climbing the best you can, not very well. And that's how I imagine Leo climbing back to the helm. um, uh, chitinous. Chitin? Sorry, I can't get the pronunciation in my head. But this is a way that a shell is kind of made. Like a bug, or like there's a bunch of different kind of insects where it's like a shell, and then there's another shell under that shell, and then there's another shell under that shell. But it's that hard shell that's on insects, or even in this case, sea animals. It's like a bone, and it's really hard, and it kind of protects itself in itself. And that's kind of what this monster is kind of made out of, this shell armor. Undulating is, it has these legs right in the water. And if you've seen like a shrimp swim, it has all these little legs underneath, but they kind of go vroom, vroom, vroom through the water. And if you look at it, it's kind of like, you can just kind of hypnotize in the way that it's just kind of moving in the water, all these little legs going back and forth. And that's what's happening with the sea monster. Toggled is like switch. So if you go up, down, toggle, one, back and forth. Your light switch is a toggle. There's not left and right, it's just on, off kind of idea. That's a toggle. And the oars in the ship, Leo can toggle them, and they come out as spears. Unfortunately, they got hit and it misaligned the oars, so the spears don't come out. Gusto is like with energy, with confidence, with some extra flair. I can't remember what they need gusto for. Maybe Jason has no gusto as he's fighting the tentacles. I can't quite remember. Lurched is like when your body goes forward more than the thing that you're on. So if you imagine a car, when you stop on the brakes, your body lurches forward. And that's kind of what happens as the ship got stopped and people were moving or got knocked over and they went one other way. They kind of lurched the movement. Reverb is like this shaking sound. So when Frank was talking with Leo, it kind of sounded like this. The vibration was coming back and forth from the oxygen through the water, right? Or in a plastic, if you have plastic over your mouth. That's kind of a reverb sound. It's used in a lot of electric guitar, heavy metal, kind of rock and roll, where they make the sound vibrate a little bit more from the guitar. A bandolier is a kind of vest. You imagine like a cowboy or a Mexican cowboy with a strap this way and a strap this way, and there's bullets inside the straps. And Bythos, he kind of has this with shells right across his chest. All right, discussion question. I love the part where Leo just asks, Hazel, do you trust me? Hazel looks at, they're in the air in these tentacles, and Hazel's like, no, I don't trust you. What if you were with Leo in that situation? Would you trust Leo? I think it's so funny. I think in The Lost Hero, I asked the same question where Leo asked Jason, or probably Piper. It's like, do you trust me? And the other person was like, no, but I don't have any choice. And we kind of talked about, would you trust Leo? Well, I need to ask that again here because I just thought it's so funny. In this situation, would you trust Leo, or would you, like Hazel, maybe just say no, but you have no other choice? Of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Hey, if you have any questions about the video today, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. If you had any other vocabulary words that you wanted to know what they meant, let me know. And also, if you're interested in maybe joining one of these book clubs, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.